Hey friends, it's Moose and thank you so much for joining me back here. Today we have a kind of what's in my collection video, what's on my shelf video. Today I'm going to share with you all of the fantasy books on my bookshelf. I'm not going to go into much detail for each of these. If I did that, this video would be way too long. I read a ton of fantasy. Fantasy is my favorite. Here in the last year or so, I've been trying to branch out a little bit more. I've been reading more romance, just specifically romance, not fantasy romance, and thrillers, but on my bookshelf, fantasy makes up the majority of my bookshelf. It really would have been easier to do this video downstairs where my bookshelf is. Didn't think that one through. So here we are. Here are all of the fantasy books on my bookshelf. Some of these are TBR books on my TBR shelf that I have not read yet. But I think that they're fantasy, you know. And then I do have some books downstairs also on my TBR shelf that, like, I'm not sure if it's fantasy, if it's dystopian. I thought they were dystopian, so I left them downstairs. And then I also have some, like, paranormal romance, like vampire type stuff that I did not include in this video just because, I don't know, I just feel like they're different. I don't know how I categorized what fantasy was, but here's what I think are all the fantasy books on my shelf. I don't have any order for these. I'm just going to grab them. They're literally sprinkled all around me. So I'm just going to grab them and show them. The Map of Bones by Francesca Haig. I don't know anything about this one. I picked it up on sale at Second and Charles on my TBR shelf. Dividing Eden by Joelle Charbonneau. I don't know. Again, TBR shelf, bargain buy. I think it's fantasy. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I just read this one, just did a reading vlog on it. Go check it out. I have all of the Sarah J Maas books, but right now I have Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. We have House of Earth and Blood and House of Breath and Sky, and I have pre-ordered the new one. One of my all-time favorite fantasy series, the Burning series by Evan Winter. We have The Rage of Dragons and Fires of Vengeance, but I have talked about them extensively on my channel. One of my favorite fantasy series, not fantasy romance. There's a little bit of romance in here, but that is not what this is. This is just fantasy, brutal war, killing, demon fighting, sword fighting, revenge fantasy right here. Perfect. These are hard to see because they're white, but I have an Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. Ember in the Ashes, Torch Against the Night, Reaper at the Gates, and A Sky Beyond the Storm. I've read the first two, have not read the second two, plan to soon. So I do have the whole From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've just let my friend borrow the next two. So I have From Blood and Ash. I do have A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, A Crown of Gilded Bones, War of Two Queens, I'm talking too fast, A Soul of Ash and Blood, the new one. I have not read this one yet. I'm currently reading A Light in the Flame, which is kind of like the companion series almost for this. I don't have the first one. I don't have A Shadow in the Ember, but I have this one, and I have all of this one. Like I said, I do have all of ACOTAR, all of A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, A Court of Silver Flames. All of these are mixed match. Paperback, old covers, new covers, whatever. I have all of them though. Here's another TBR shelf book, The Queen of the Tearling. Mixed reviews on this one. Haven't read it yet. Hope too soon. Probably not, let's be honest. I don't know what the name of the series is. I have A Curse So Dark and Lonely, that series by Bridget Kimmerer. I always want to say Kimmerer. It's Kimmerer. Bridget Kimmerer. A Curse So Dark and Lonely, A Heart So Fierce and Broken, A Vow So Bold and Deadly. Beauty and the Beast retelling. Loved it. Oldie But a Goodie, Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Read these as an adult. I think I did some reading vlogs on these. You kind of lose track of what all you've recorded as time goes on, so I don't know. I have the Trill series by Amanda Hocking. I read these back in high school. I liked them back in high school. I want to reread them as an adult to see if they're as good as I remember. I don't think they are. Switch, Torn, Ascend. Fun fluff reads. The Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. Yeah, that's the name of it. A Name in the Wind, The Name of the Wind, The Wise Man's Fear. I've read The Name of the Wind. I have not read The Wise Man's Fear. I'm kind of waiting to see if he ever releases the third one before I read the second one, because I know I will have to reread the first one to read the second one. And when the third one comes out, I'll have to reread both of them. You know how it goes. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This one was great. Fantasy, funny fantasy, kind of D&D vibes. I have book 2 for the Witcher series, The Time of Contempt. I do own The Blood of Elves, kind of. I lent it to someone years ago at this point, have not received it back. Andres Andrzej Sapkowski. Everyone knows The Witcher. I've only read the first two. Let me know if I should continue on. Chronicles of the Black Company by Glenn Cook, recommended to me. TBR shelf, hasn't read it yet. Seventh Son by Joseph Delany, again, TBR shelf, haven't read it yet. Oh, I have some more downstairs I forgot about. I have a bunch of Naomi Novik. I love Naomi Novik. I have the Scholomance trilogy by her, Deadly Education, The Last Graduate, The Golden Enclaves. I did a reading vlog on this last one. Love the series as a whole. It bugs me that this one is black. Why isn't it gold? Why doesn't it match? Uprooted was my first by her. I love this one. The writing style of Naomi Novik does take some time to get used to, and I do better with her reading it physically than I do audiobooks, just to put that out there. But this is kind of a loose Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's very loose in my opinion, but I loved it. Also by her, I have Spinning Silver. I love this one way more than I thought I would. I love her. And then I do have some books by her on my TBR shelf. I have In His Majesty's Service, the Temeraire. I don't know. I have her fantasy, like dragon stories, dragon series, whatever. This one has 3 in 1, His Majesty's Dragon, Throne of Jade, The Black Powder War, and then I have Victory of Eagles. There's one in between this. There's like another one that goes in between here that I cannot find. I found both of these on bargain, and I've bought this one twice because I found this one in like a little mass market paperback, thought it was the one I needed, got home, it wasn't. Long story short, I need one more for this series. It's on my TBR shelf. Next up, I have another one of my favorites. I have the Becca Cooper trilogy by Tamora Pierce. I love Becca Cooper Terrier, Bloodhound, Mastiff. I did a whole dedicated video on these. I think this is our last Sarah J Maas series, but I have all of Throne of Glass. Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Tower of Dawn, Empire of Storms, Kingdom of Ash. All of them. I have videos on these as well. Oh, we're actually kind of booking it through this. I have 3 of the Game of Thrones books on my shelf for some reason. I have Game of Thrones, A Storm of Swords, A Clash of Kings. I have not read these. They're on my TBR shelf. Honestly debating on getting rid of these because Game of Thrones just kind of intimidates me. I don't really feel like I need to read it at this point. I bought these very, very cheap at like thrift stores because I had intentions of reading them, but I don't know. It's just not what I'm feeling. So I think I might get rid of these, but I have them for now. I have Trickster's Choice by Tamora Pierce. Haven't read this one. TBR shelf. Love Tamora Pierce though, so I bought it because it was on bargain. $1.99. I have Frostblood by Ellie Blake. Yeah, this one has been on my TBR shelf for a hot minute. I'm talking like 5 or 6 years. No, probably longer. Probably like 6 or 7 years. I don't know. I'm keeping it around for some reason. It's on my TBR shelf though. Kind of on my TBR shelf I have the Eragon. What is this? There's the name of this series. The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Eragon and Brissinger. I bought this one for like $1 at a thrift store. And I knew I had Eragon, so I was like, it's $1. It's $1. So I got it. I listened to this one on audiobook, the first one. Just feel like I need to read it physically. So I'll read it physically eventually. Next up I have the Mistborn trilogy. No, the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I do have the trilogy in a box set, never been opened. You see that shiny paper right there? Never been opened. It's on my TBR shelf. And then I found these. I think they're like companion novels to the Mistborn from what I looked up and found. They're somehow related to Mistborn. Again, these were super cheap. Like 50 cents each, I think, at my local library bookstore. So I have the Mistborn stuff whenever I feel like I'm up to that. This one is not mine. I've kind of stolen it a little bit. A little bit. I need to give it back. I have the Silmarillion by J.R. Tolkien. Somehow related to Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings universe, that kind of thing. Someone lent this to me. I just haven't read it yet, but it's on my bookshelf for now. Homeland by R.A. Salvatore, The Legend of Drizzt. I don't know. Somebody told me how to say that one time, and I just don't remember. I'm very sorry. Somebody recommended it to me, and I found it for less than $3. Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. Again, less than $3. I've always kind of been intrigued by these. I used to work at a bookstore. I would put these away on the shelf and I was like, man, that just looks like something I would like. So I bought it when I found it on sale. TBR shelf. Another TBR shelf, Eliza Flocke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Heard good things about this one. This one was not like a bargain impulse buy. I've just heard good things about this one. Almost anyone I hear talk about it loved it. I just need more time in my day. All right, last four here. Last four. I have the Percy Jackson. No, just the first one. No, the last one. Is this the last one? The last one? I have The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. I think what happened was I maybe borrowed the series from the library and they didn't have the last one for like a couple weeks and I wanted to finish the series, so I bought it. Been on my bookshelf for years. I don't know why I keep it. I have The Alchemist by Michael Scott. Really just like, I don't know if Nicholas Flamel is a thing outside of Harry Potter or not, but I was just intrigued. I also thought this was a different Alchemist. There's another Alchemist book that I have read. I don't remember who it is, but I thought this one was that one when I bought this one. It's not. This is on my TBR shelf. I don't know what it is. I just think it's fantasy. I've had a cold and now I'm getting all worked up and excited, so my voice is getting raspy, so I'm sorry. I have The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. Fantasy. It's got a dragon on the front. It's TBR shelf. I don't know what it's about, but it's got a dragon on the front, so I think it's fantasy. Kind of the last one. I have Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. This is a series, again, when I worked at the bookstore I worked at, I was always kind of intrigued by these. Never got around to reading them. Found this for what, like $3? $3. Kind of a bargain impulse buy, but I've always been interested in these. And then I also do have, I'm not logging these upstairs. Sorry, I'm not logging them upstairs. I have the Harry Potter series. I have the paperbacks and the hardbacks. I have the, like, companion 3 books from the library, like The Rules of Quidditch and Fantastic Beasts and the tales or whatever, like the fairy tales. I have that, and then I have The Cursed Child. So I just have a Harry Potter collection downstairs as well. So there we go. Those are all the fantasy books that I have on my bookshelves. My bookshelves are predominantly fantasy, even though I haven't been reading mostly fantasy the past couple years. It is my favorite, and it's what I own the most of. So here you go. Here's my fantasy collection. Hopefully you found maybe some kind of recommendation. I know I didn't go into detail, but hopefully you found some kind of recommendation from this video of things that you want to check out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. Let me know down below which ones you've read of these, and which ones were your favorite, and which ones you plan to add to your list, if any. You guys are awesome. I'm so thankful for you, and I'm blessed to have you here on my channel, and we will meet back here next time. See ya! My voice is shot now. Shoot. Well, I bet my baby's awake now.